Hello, this is Timmy Black, and welcome once again to another episode of The Lives of Contemporary Artists. Now, it used to be in the old days, in the olden days, it used to be that intelligent people who went to college, and read books, read the great books, people who went to college and read the great books and studied philosophy and history and all sorts of stuff like that. It used to be that people like that were able to entertain conflicting viewpoints without too much stress, without being, what's the word that they use today? Without being triggered. But that was the old days. Now it seems that people are trying to avoid any kind of irritating friction. They don't like friction. They don't like it. We find ourselves in a climate of militant moral posturing based on a set of inflexible ideological orthodoxies, all contrived by a diabolically impersonal set of algorithms. Now, there's a rage out there. A rage for simplicity, a rage for a dull naivete that enables one to make sense of this tumultuous world with 30-second videos and rhyming slogans. I get it. I totally get it. It's fun. It's fun to wave flags with friends. It's fun to chant. It's fun to have enemies. I mean, floating upon the convivial seas of indignation is actually relaxing. And I'm in favor. Everyone is in favor of relaxation. And while we're all familiar by now with the fatuous flamethrowers in the political sphere, and we've all grown accustomed to the low stakes cage fights in academia, and it's no big deal anymore to see these religious leaders with daggers in their teeth spewing all sorts of eschatological nonsense. But here, my provincial area of expertise limits my editorial reach to the princely realm of contemporary art, which brings me to today's featured artist. Today's featured artist is Carmalite McKenzee. Now, Carmalite McKenzee is one of those artists who doesn't care whether she's politically correct or not. And I have to say, I find that refreshing. Now, she's a painter, not a terribly gifted painter. I mean, her sense of color is garish, and her design instincts seem to owe a great deal to 1970s East German cigarette ads. But her subject matter is extremely provocative. And if you want to be overly generous, you could describe it as even thought-provoking. But then you'd have to redefine the word thought. But nonetheless, there's interest. And, let me go on and describe it. Basically, her work is a polemic, a decorative polemic, against the idea of immigration. Now, you might say that given the fact that our national arts institutions now have a newly appointed curator-in-chief, you might accuse McKenzee of being opportunistic. But let's give her the benefit of the doubt and not dismiss her work. To dismiss her work outright, would probably be unfair. Unfair to cynics and ideologues all over the place. And interestingly enough, her work has found great sympathy both among the nativist right and the anti-colonial left. So I suppose in her small way, she's bringing people together. You see, McKenzee's approach is rooted in mathematics, and you can't argue with algebra. To Carmalite McKenzee, the problem with immigration is that it has an effect, in her mind, an adverse effect, an effect on demographics. Duh. So her work, her paintings, and her lithographs, she does a lot of prints, a lot of lithographs. Her paintings and her lithographs are narrative in nature, and they depict immigrants arriving into nondescript places, countries maybe. It's hard to tell because she's not a gifted drafts person. It's kind of muddy. But anyway, these immigrants are clumsily rendered as if surrounded by what might be interpreted as a native population. And she does this by distinguishing the groups by their dress, or maybe the pigmentation of their skin, or their height, or maybe they're carrying suitcases. Anyway, these very, 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 very busy pictures do not depict strife or conflict. They basically convey their intention simply by these familiar semiological codes. So in the center of the picture, you have a stable population, and on either side you have immigrants. Now you can go see this. Their latest work is showing right now at Zangwill Guevara in New York City, and you'll notice that the installation, very cleverly, it has a clear sequential ordering to it. So as your eye moves from left to right, you notice that the immigrants become more and more numerous until you reach the final group of paintings. And there, the immigrants are no longer the minority. They have, in fact, become the majority. They've basically taken over the paintings. Now, some critics find this work racist, and some find it anti-democratic or xenophobic or overly nationalistic, and I can see why. I mean, in real life, demographic shifts can be temporarily disruptive. And the liberal idea that immigration has proven to be a net good for the host country is actually right now strongly contested by both progressives and conservatives. And Carmalite McKenzee has cleverly seized upon this improbable consensus. She calls the advocates of migration Elysiumists. She, in turn, describes herself as an anti-Elysiumist. See? Now, she's done countless interviews and written any number of essays identifying what she sees as Elysiumist colonization in places like New York and Texas and California and even Canada. There's a lot of Elysiumists crossing the border as well. You see, to McKenzee, people from, say, Syria have no right to settle in Istanbul, or Venezuelans have no right to settle in Arizona, or Ethiopians have no right to settle, say, in Tel Aviv. They are simply Elysiumists. These people are Elysiumists, and she wants to call attention to what she calls the demographic cunning of creeping colonialism. See? That's what these Elysiumists are. They're creeping colonialists to McKenzee. So, look, this might be a bit reactionary, xenophobic. It could be a tad racist, but through her charismatic presence on social media, Carmalite McKenzee's brand is really catching on with young people. I mean, college campuses are full of anti-Elysiumist groups that have been calling upon administrators to boycott and divest from the United States and from Mexico because of their Elysiumist histories. Now, when young people call someone, one of their peers, an Elysiumist, it's the ultimate slur. Even to be suspected of Elysiumist sympathies can result in social ostracism. Yeah, the campuses are a rough place. So I guess the good news, though, is that activism is back among the youngsters. But the bad news is, that anti-Elysiumism is, it's dumb. That's the bad. The bad news is that it's dumb. It's reductive. It's divisive. It's a childish idea. And when you come to think of it, because it's so childish, it probably explains why it's so appealing both to the left and to the right. See, the complexity surrounding concepts like statehood, or pluralism, or national liberation, or religious freedom, or the Ottoman Empire, or free markets, or the status of women, or the status of refugees, or terrorism, or, of course, immigration. These ideas will tangle you in knots. So when Carmalite McKenzee distills the whole mess into a large, brightly colored series of paintings, she's hit upon a formula that is perfectly suited to our age. You know, from Chris Martin to Tucker Carlson, anti-Elysiumists are as trendy as ketamine. And now, while golfers and comedians and pop stars have found eager audiences on the Arabian Peninsula, it looks like we may be entering into a brand new chapter in the lives of contemporary artists.